we met Thursday, and then Bob and I talked Friday night. I asked him if he would reach out to Potsu if they were still on good terms, and they were. He's really good friends with her. See if they would be interested in underwriting his show. He said he didn't think she would be able to, but he would see. So that's.
I figure anytime we have somebody that
Absolutely.
has an in, it's probably
Absolutely.
better to,
Absolutely.
if they're comfortable with it.
Totally.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. So we will get that out on WebB. Within a week, we will publish those once they're amended.
And then at the
As
next
draft?
meeting.
Just, I will add as a, that you could include in the, minutes as well, that, we did locate the depreciation schedule, and
Ooh,
we are, should have the,
Where in the heck was it?
Well,
we
had
got
to
it from
get-
the accountant, the other
Yeah.
accountant got it to us.
We had
Oh, okay.
our current accountant call the old accountant.
Yes,
Okay.
that is the old boys network.
Could I ask what
Both
a
got it.
depreciation schedule is?
It tells you how much, with large purchases, you can't deduct everything in one year, you depreciate it over time.
Okay, thank you.
That's
You need
great.
to go this way. This way. On the.
And Jeff is going to charge us to
So fine.
Yeah,
Dave.
he's
find
on the-
that.
It's just the way they span
All right.
So that's no longer a concern?
No, because we have it.
That's
Yep.
fantastic.
Give everything that we need.
That's great.
Although he has invoiced us for the time he spent looking for it.
Despite not finding it.
$180, I think, isn't that right?
Did we approve him to look for it?
No.
Okay.
Then that sounds like an easy expense to cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was,
So
he
noted.
he did put some time into look, and I appreciate that.
Do I even need to bother putting that part into the minutes?
No.
Cool.
Maybe
All
make
right.
him a nice card.
All right, committee reports. We'll start with the executive committee. We met on the 26th. We simply talked about the agenda, kind of talked about goals for this year. And then also I kind of gave an update on the policies, which those are sprinkled throughout this agenda, so we can cover those as we get to them. I think that's a pretty good summary. Anybody else who was there have any comments, or anybody with any questions?
Do you want to share the goals
Yeah,
with us?
that was gonna be my question.
Yeah.
Well, there's also board goals in the agenda.
Like paperless, you'd want to go kind of paperless.
Yeah.
You're going to be
So
focusing
one
on
of the things in my goal for starting next board meeting is I plan not to print out packets. So what I am going to do is I'm making a deadline of the Wednesday before the board meeting for documents to get to me.
Vicky's thinking, "Oh."
And that way I can put the packet together Thursday and Friday and have it out to everybody by Friday. That way you have an entire weekend to look at the completed packet. My goal would be for everybody to either print it at
Thank
home, work or left, prior to the meeting, or bring it digitally. So that's a personal goal of mine,
So would
and
we,
a goal for the board to kind of move to that strategy.
Are you gonna print agendas for guests?
I am going to print agendas for guests.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, we probably should have one backup copy for if your computer locks up, just so that we're not unable to have the meeting.
Well, and I will always have at least one printed copy,
Good.
because if you noticed, one of the things I've done is, later in the packet, we have resolutions to do a couple things, and I think to be official about it, they require signatures.
Oh.
So that would be a hard copy thing.
You had also covered how the governance page on wef.org would have the board of directors reports for each month.
Mm-hmm.
And also specifying this for anyone listening, for the lefties. We'd also covered, because I'd asked about, there's a few committees that don't have SOPs, but we decided they haven't needed them for 30 years. We're fine without it. No one needs all the extra time to think through them
Yeah.
when we're already trying to work through making all the other SOPs in mind. I think that was another thing too of getting all your bylaws and SOPs so that we're no longer like confused about what the rule is about something, kind of make it clean, consistent.
That was one of the major goals, right? Was
Yeah.
to
Yeah, that was
talk
one
about
thing
how
she
we were
mentioned.
gonna approach changes to the bylaws. And then another one was to, work, more diligently on getting grants and and getting a finance committee together.
Alright. Any questions?
No, not really, but it really probably would have been best to have that more reported. So I don't know if we wanna,
Starting next month, the minutes will be the executive committee report. But because we held it so close and didn't have time to everybody to review them and look over them, I just didn't feel comfortable putting those minutes as the official report.
Fair enough.
Alright. PC committee.
So I sent you, the minutes for the last two unofficial meetings, because we didn't have a quorum, which I assume are part of the packet?
Mm-hmm.
yes, they are.
Yeah.
Page
Good.
18 and 19.
Okay, so, that pretty much tells you where we've been the last couple of months. A couple of highlights that just came up. Paul Muth has asked to move his show from Mondays at 6 to Wednesdays at 6, which is an open slot since Stan.
That's the Friday forum, right?
Correct, Friday forum, yep. Since Stan's been gone, we've been playing Zara from 6 to 8. So the PC through email, has agreed to temporarily grant that change, and we'll take it up for a vote at the next meeting to make it official. I got a copy of the Spinnertron report from the music committee, and Q4 of last year was the best Spinnertron report we've ever had, as far as,
Aggregate tuning hours.
thank you. Yep, and there's a possibility of Grateful Dead Hour maybe coming back, and that may be something that comes to you guys. It looks like possibly David Gans is willing to waive his fee in exchange for some fundraising that the collective would put together, and then he would accept whatever funds come from that as payment.
Has
And
that
I'm not sure how
slot,
that works.
has that, it's a Friday night slot, right?
It's not
Saturday.
Saturday.
Saturday night, so has that been filled by somebody else?
No, we've been playing Zara.
Okay.
And
So there's a possibility of that coming back. I don't know. I know David Gans was in studio last
Yeah.
week, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say with Gina, they're actually doing a lot of work to really bring it back.
Right.
David Gans was in town doing touring, so he stopped. And there was probably Brian, like 10, 15 people who came.
I saw the picture on Facebook,
yeah.
yeah, there were a bunch.
Yeah, so some already lefties, some new faces. A lot of people dropped off airshifter applications for it. So they're really moving. They made a logo, and they're doing all
Great.
sorts of stuff. So they're really excited.
Kristen Johns is behind it once she gets behind something.
Yes, she.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
On it, yeah.
She heard the Grateful Dead Hour wasn't on, she decided she was gonna get back on, and she
Yeah.
kinda made it happen.
She did.
Well, good.
I know, we need her, that's what I
See that kind
said.
of passion.
And then, I guess the only other highlight, that I have right now is airshifter training is set for the 19th from 2 to 4:30. Both of the classroom sessions are gonna be
We're
held
gonna
the
do it
same
all in
day.
one shot, so no one has an excuse to miss one.
Right, and then Lainey's been forwarding, airshifter training applications to both Vicki and myself. She's been scanning them, sending them, so that we have them, and I'll be there to be the PC liaison, cause I'm doing one of the making waves that day anyway, so I'll be.
And we're gonna
there.
schedule a meeting at some point in the next couple of weeks so that we can get the trainers together. 2 sets of trainers. We need one meeting for people who are gonna train the classroom portion. And then we need to have another meeting where we're gonna train people who are interested in doing in-studio training. So do 2 different parts of that.
Just regarding that Spinatron report,
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting, we don't really know what aggregate tuning hours are.
So I looked it up.
I did
you-
too, I Googled it, but
I did too.
it was still confusing.
Yeah, so it basically is like if you have 10 people listening for 1 hour, that gives you 10 aggregate tuning hours. So.
Does it just refer to online? It didn't say that it
I
did.
think it's based on what we report to Spinatron. I don't think it's, I don't think it's online.
I
think it's
know.
over the air.
No,
I know, but I don't know how they know it.
It's gotta be
No,
online.
it's gotta
gotta
be
be,
online,
yeah.
because they can't, we have no
Yeah.
way of knowing
Right.
what we have over the air.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't Bob Leslie know that?
We need to get a report from him on what how he interprets it, cause it's a really interesting thing, that back in 2010, our number was about 189.
Right,
By the, third quarter of 2016, it was 580, which is the highest it had ever been.
mhm.
And then it went up in the fourth quarter of 2016 to 795.
We can ask
So,
Bob, like,
Yeah.
what does this mean? If you,
It's
I-
gotta be increased online listening,
It
it's
is.
gotta
Yeah,
be.
well, yeah, it's probably
Well,
Radio Free America.
Yeah,
too.
that's to say, I know
Yeah.
Todd has said
I'll
that,
bet that's playing a big role.
Yeah,
I know that Todd has said a couple of the news shows have a huge online following. A lot of us listening, streaming online, so,
Good.
yeah.
and then the other things I wanted to bring up is something that came up in the, PC meeting this past week, is, that we need to maybe have a discussion of how we approve/regulate podcasts, drop-ins, informational type programs that we're airing either online or over the air or both. And I think we need to, there's nothing right now that regulates that. It's something new. And then something else that was brought up, I got a call and an email from another PC member, Saturday night, that was listening to a show, from last week, and the profanities were flying, and it's a show that has an indecency waiver. But if we're playing those overnight shows that have indecency waivers via RFA, and people can listen to them anytime,
Has nothing to do with
what does that
That's-
do?
that's-
Should we put a disclaimer up for the nighttime shows that say, not suitable for, I don't know what
Yeah,
we do, so that's
children,
something.
yeah.
Good question.
I go to YouTube every so often, and I'll listen to someone like Bill Maher
Mhm.
in the middle of the day. I'm not sure he could be fined for that.
No.
Right, if you-
It's the internet.
But they're searching it out,
Yeah.
if they're searching out, say, Totally Irrelevant or Brian's show, who have a waiver, I go in to say Brian's show knowing he's gonna drop some words, but I sought it out, so maybe it's online, I don't know, if you're looking.
Just a comment on the podcast and the public affairs program, you use the word regulate. There's gotta be a better word.
Right, well, I guess regulate, I guess in my mind, who decides what gets aired? I guess that's my main concern. Is it a PC function?
Yeah, it
Is
is a
station
PC
manager?
function,
Is it board of
absolutely.
directors?
Yes, it is.
It's
Don't,
not defined.
Yes.
you don't know that it is.
No, I do know it is, because I'm on the PC, and I've been on the PC for a long time,
But-
and the programming committee makes decisions about what's on the air.
But
But
And
podcasts
so
podcasts
are
are
on
on
the
there.
But podcasts are on the air,
Not all.
and they're a new thing,
On
but
the air.
there's still something that we need to, the programming committee has to be at least, like,
In the loop.
in the loop and a serious we should be listened to, because I mean, when you get something that's really crappy and we are responsible for programming, then we gotta say you can't do that.
You're responsible for over-the-air programming, and
Yeah.
we'll have to decide as
Is there,
I'm
sorry,
sorry too, but we'll have to decide as a station how we wanna handle it. Definitely, we'll have to decide, but it's not a given that it's a programming,
No.
Programming.
Who is it then?
What?
it's not a given.
That's a
Who
discussion.
is it then?
That's why the discussion we have to
yeah,
have,
okay.
to
The
figure out.
discussion has to happen. Mark?
I guess I'm surprised there's even a question about it, because it, logically would fit with the programming committee, at least in my
Yeah.
mind. It just seems
Well, it
like a
has-
natural extension of the programming committee, to me.
Right. But I agree, but, since there isn't a written document or something, I guess we have to figure, we have to.
I'm not gonna have the big, long discussion now, but I
Mhm.
have certainly thought it through, a lot, because I was the one who brought podcast to, WEFT, and, it is a total different function than on-air programming, because it has total different rules. And it also can be a revenue maker, it can be structured very differently than over-the-air can be. And so, right now, it's handled by what used to be the RRT, that's who decided it, and when we were the general manager, and now that's turned into the executive committee. And so I'd say by default, that's who is making the decisions about who is handling the podcast right now. And let me say also that it's the way you phrased it just is completely wrong, because it's public affairs and drop-ins are completely handled by the programming committee. They are over the air things, and the public, and although they can be podcasts can also be something completely separate than what goes out over the air.
Okay, then that's the responsibility of whoever's doing the podcast, that their responsibility is to make sure the programming committee is aware of and knows about whatever podcast it is, if it's not going on the air, I don't give a shit. But we have to know what is listed as a
Okay.
podcast for WEF.
It's not hard to figure out.
And
Well-
and this is a longer discussion. I think we need to have that discussion as a full discussion next month, and we'll wrap up with 3 comments tonight. Andy.
I was going to suggest that perhaps we look at some other radio stations and see what they've done in this regard, because this podcast is a new issue, so maybe there's other strategies people have approached, and we can look at several different stations. I'm sure no station will be exactly like us, but then maybe we can figure out how they've worked it out and how they've got the governance, because there needs to be some oversight, but where it comes from, it seems very unclear where that is, and maybe other people kind of have a model we can kind of follow.
So my thought is, I think the PC needs to know, I think the board needs to know, everybody needs to know what's going on, but when do we get into, you just need to know, or you're getting the right, or the power, whatever, the authority to say yes or no? That's where maybe that's the discussion we could have, but is it just, I'm informing you this is what's going on, or hey, by the way, this is going on, I think this is cool, or PC could say yes or no, like where, we have to figure out what. But
Okay.
I just
Anybody
have
else?
one question. Do we have any underwritten podcasts currently?
No, but I'm working on it.
Okay. I know you've been working on it.
And then I'll save that for next month.
Could I just get one clarification? The public indecency waiver and safe harbor hours, neither of those is blank check for prurient content where you're actually graphically describing something and
Right.
confirming.
Absolutely not.
Okay,
yeah.
I think we need to maybe gently remind people that it's not a blank check, because I don't think I haven't personally been aware of enforcement of maybe waivers being improperly used since the Pirates show 10 years ago, and I would hate for somebody to do the same show, every week, and it'd be fine, and then one week, you lose your show. But nobody should be operating with the understanding that they have no limitations.
Connie says it can't be word porn.
Right,
That's
and
all I'm
it's one thing to tell
Yeah.
people that, and it's another
Right.
thing to get them to actually understand that in practice. So
Examples. You've got to have examples, and you've got to say, okay, I heard you do this. This is not acceptable, and that requires somebody to listen to the show.
I think
That's
I
the
heard the
PC.
same show that Gina got calls about,
Okay.
and
No, but I heard the show that you heard,
okay,
today, I heard it today.
and it.
And I know that you were there and you heard it, because I heard.
And I was like, hey,
But it is the same show, it was just 2 different weeks.
well, one time it was guests and one time it was not guests.
Well,
and-
last week it was the same people that it was this week.
Okay.
But so then that's a PC thing, right?
Yes,
So
that's
PC
a
go and
PC
say,
thing.
hey, I listened to the show, a write-up or whatever, like, hey, listen, we
Yeah.
can't do that.
All right. Thank you,
PC
Gina.
totally.
Anything else?
No, I'm good unless anybody has any questions.
Oh, the day sheets are changing. They're going to be out by the 1st of February, and they're not totally different, but they're going to be very different, and it's not going to be having to print out 21 pages a week
How is
anymore.
We're hoping.
That's what we're hoping. What we're gonna do is have them in laminated thing, and just have people use erasable pen to mark things off, or not mark things off, but make sure that they do things.
First day,
Most
regular pen, I'm guaranteeing it.
But mostly what it is I don't care whether they mark things off or not. I just care that they pay attention to the list and know what they're supposed to do. And that's gonna have to be something that is, people are gonna have to be hit over the head with it, I think.
Okay.
Some people.
Mhm.
And it's gonna matter with the rotating underwriting, because that's something that's gonna be heavily emphasized on these new day sheets. It's gonna be on the schedule. You do a rotating underwriting. If you don't have an underwriting, you do a rotating underwriting, and you have to do it. And you have to put it in the book. We might wanna work on the book and make it better organized, but you have to put it in the book.
Okay.
And so we know that these people are getting their money's worth. Otherwise, we shouldn't have rotating underwriting at all.
Regarding the day sheets, there is an underwriter listed under my show that I have not had for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And every week I put, please remove this from the day sheets.
Okay, so which one is it, Jets?
It's Jets.
I went through all the day sheets and sent Barb all the edits that were required based on what
Yeah.
she
Great,
sent me.
okay, thank you.
And I bounced that against the underwriting book.
All right, perfect.
All right. Thank you guys. Financial development.
That's me, I don't have anything, no news,
Okay. And
What was that?
financial development.
Oh,
I'm going to email you the brochure I have from Member Card that we talked about last month. The membership
Okay.
card thing.
Yeah.
So I will.
What I
email-
did this month was to put every document that I had from Weft into Google Docs, and I shared it with you, and I think with you. And anything that you wanna share with Lainey, I think maybe you should probably get all the stuff on, Pledge Drive, for sure. But the rest of it's up to you guys to decide who gets what.
Okay.
okay.
Community advisory. Andrew and Andy.
Yeah, we actually talked about this executive committee, meeting, but we're rescheduling the meeting for
Right.
February or March.
I let the Kudo people know since they were the only people who had confirmed, and they were happy to reschedule since, yesterday was the last day of Winter War anyway, and they looked at it in hindsight, they really didn't wanna give up that Sunday, or any portion of it.
Okay. Human relations. Andy.
We've not met it at all, and I think it was, we determined a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
So, you had some news about the interns in your program report, but she is, if there's been anything done, it's by Laney, compared to this time, so, yeah. We used to get, in the station manager
Yes,
report,
we have some
you
interns.
talk about some interns.
And we'll talk about those in station.
Okay.
Okay.
Nominations.
Other than the EC talking about the fact the member election is scheduled for June, there's really nothing.
I just wanted to remind folks that Mark and Barb are up in March as
Okay.
associates elected members, so if they want to become members of the board again, they will have to be there. And I don't know what the date is in March. Does anybody know the associates meeting date?
It would be the first Wednesday, correct?
It's either the
No,
first
you should
Wednesday or
also,
first
if you're
Thursday.
interested, you should also submit it 30 days in advance, right, this time, since
We
that
don't
was
have that.
Don't have to.
one of the things.
Not for the
That's
associates.
only if you're running through the board.
Board
Or-
or member, yep, not through associates.
Right.
So I was elected on the fly myself, like, basically, I think I got talked
It's
into
the
it
first
at the
Thursday in
meeting.
March.
First
Sounds
Wednesday
right.
March?
Yeah, that's like,
Okay. Do you want the date?
Wednesday or Thursday, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have it. Oh, okay.
Well, we do know it's already been scheduled, so.
yeah,
Um,
years in advance.
Yes.
Finance Committee, we didn't meet, but I would like to see us convene at some point in the next, definitely month and a half, to begin talking about next year's budget, and other financial issues. And even though we haven't met in person, Lainey, Sandra and I have been in constant contact over email, so. Alright. Any questions on any of the reports? No? Okay. Staff reports. Station manager, Lainey.
You guys can all read through it. Like Andy said, we did get some interns this semester. We have 4 of them. Their roles vary from everything from nonprofit administration to broadcasting. So there's some various tasks that they're helping with. One of them is also events, so she's really excited to help with spring pledge drive and also sound house concerts. So we're doing that. This month I sent out 100 cold call letters to local businesses asking for their support to WEFT. We have three new underwriters in the works this month: Living Yoga Center, Dancing Dog, and Urbana Park District. We have a Sound House concert scheduled for March, and it is a solely benefiting WEFT concert. Thank you, Denise.
You're welcome.
So we're excited for that. We have the bands lined up. So we're gonna make a Facebook event, start getting tickets available. We are going to do that event on a sliding scale or a donation suggested amount, so we don't limit the attendees.
I'm so happy about that. I think that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I
Really good idea.
suggested that.
Because
Yeah,
I've not
absolutely.
actually at times thought about, I've been able to attend that because I'm kind of broke.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of other people.
My daughter's friends, I'm like, they
Yeah.
want to
Exactly,
come, so,
exactly.
you know.
Yeah, we don't want
you know.
anybody to not be able to come to it.
Mhm.
What they can give is great. Also getting more listeners with
Yes.
it,
Yeah.
spreading the word of WEFT, so that will be a good time. There are always good opportunities for us to push WEFT, highlight WEFT, get some stuff out. Sometimes we get random donations while they're there, so that's nice. Let's see. I don't know if we want to talk about spring pledge drive now or if that's later. I see it later, so I'll keep moving.
Let me, I had a couple notes still in your what you mentioned before, but
Okay.
they're all great. I
Okay.
really like the branding idea with the bike shops.
Yeah.
At least of which spring
Yeah.
will be coming up soon.
Yeah.
So you're kind of getting in earlier, but that's
Yeah.
a good kind of, like the service, which again is optional.
Right.
Which I also I really like that,
Yeah.
no one's obligated, but yet if you want to,
It's
and it might be a good service, like, and not just for average person, but like you're saying biking and other people that are
Yeah.
getting around. And I know a lot of our audience are interested in
Definitely.
biking. I mean, I am. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, that was wonderful.
Thank you.
And then also, but it's you figuring out the Newmark thing and
Yeah,
getting
that was
get into
exciting.
that. So that's
Yeah, that
that's
was a
a
big
great.
win for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody in.
Now,
I guess the question, go ahead.
my suggestion is for the weather thing. I like it. I get really confused when you talk about it. I don't think that a lot of people have read anything in WEFTO about it or anything. I think that it would be a good idea to put something in the booth on paper so people will know what to do, how to do it, and
Well, I've gotten
But
a
it's-
lot of responses back from WEFTO, so I do think people have
Yeah.
read it. I think we could put up an announcement saying if you're interested, let me know, but I don't think it's a good idea to print the weather every single day.
no,
and put it
no,
there.
not print the weather. I changed my mind about that. I can read it
I
off
don't,
my
yeah,
iPad,
but I don't think there's a lot of instructions to give. You open the email and you read it. You just have to tell me
Okay.
you want to be on it.
okay. So, but WEFT doesn't have a place where we can open an email where we can just
No.
not log in.
Does he have a
I
Facebook
don't-
thing where he
yeah.
has this information or something like that? Basically, I think is what
Yeah,
she's wondering.
Facebook or
Instead
something.
of everyone being
I don't
subscribed
wanna put my
individually.
email on the computer. in
Then
the
bring your,
booth.
You
then
bring
bring
your
your own.
tablet.
Yeah,
But-
but there are people who don't have that kind of thing. Can we get some way to get it easier?
I mean, you can go to his Facebook, but there's no way I can give you the WEFT reading specifically delivered to you in any other way that you don't have to log in. I mean, we
Okay.
can't make our own website for it or update a website daily.
Right.
He does his own, and you can go onto it and use his, but I can't give you the WEFT reading that he has typed the script, or not script, but whatever.
That was one of the two things I wanted to ask
Yeah.
about. Is there any way the daily thing that goes out could just be like in a notepad or text file or something on that computer so that everybody could access it without?
So somebody would have to. I mean, we could try it, but I don't know that somebody could get it done by 6 a.m. to copy and
Okay.
paste it to the notepad every day.
Because
That's-
Yeah.
because of the way my laptop is,
Right.
I cannot be both on the mic and looking at my screen unless I do a Linda Blair and have my head.
I mean, we can ask.
We could ask the morning menu people to do it.
Yeah, you know,
I'd be willing, would you be willing?
what to copy and.
To put the weather onto a text notepad in the morning when you
But
get
you
up.
I'm
have
not a
to
tech
type
person,
it.
no.
You guys would have to type it, I think.
'Cause
So-
Ed-
we would just have to
No,
paste it
just
from
cut
our
paste.
email.
Yeah.
So if you can't open your email. So I guess I'm confused. You just
Because
don't.
some people
don't want
can't
to log
open
in.
their email, yeah.
As long as it is somewhere other than directly behind me, I would
Sure.
like to read it every week.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you want to log into your email at the station, not really.
I don't use that computer. I
Okay.
mean, I will look at the screen, but I
Sure.
don't use that. I don't
What about
use
your
that
phone?
I
keyboard.
get it.
On your
I don't have a smartphone.
Okay.
Okay. We can brainstorm a little bit and see
Okay.
what we can do, but thankfully, you know, since it is just optional, but I
Right.
do appreciate people wanting to do it.
And I
so-
figure it's not just me, because I
Yeah.
have a computer I bring. I just
Right, it's
can't
just
Yeah.
stretch
Yeah.
it that far.
Sure.
Well, that was what I was saying, is sometimes it's, I don't wanna don't wanna open my email on that computer, and sometimes it's harder to read on that computer. If I'm sitting here, and I'm looking at the computer screen is here, I have to go forward, I have to maybe increase the type, I have to squint, and,
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's why it's, you know, optional.
Yeah.
You know, nobody has to
well,
do it.
but,
I still had another point, but that actually reminds me of something that I've been wanting to ask about for months.
Yeah.
Do we know who keeps crossing out half of Connie's hot flashes and changing the grammar, but not necessarily correctly?
Oh, you mean the art theater?
Yeah,
thing.
because I go to read it and it's so crossed out that I can't even figure out what it says half the time.
It's usually better.
It usually is,
Sometimes.
yeah.
I've been
Sometimes.
just reading the email directly during my show.
Sometimes
for it,
dates
so.
pass, and so things get crossed out because they're
Yes.
no longer valid.
I don't know who does it. I probably have a strong suspicion of who
I
does
think
it.
I have a strong
Uh-huh.
suspicion too.
They tend to do that with things around the station.
Mhm.
If it's getting better, I guess I won't pick at it, but we can try and print. We can try
I
and
hear
reprint
nothing.
it when needed.
I-
If it we'll keep an eye on it.
With both the weather and the art theater thing, I want to read them, but sometimes I start reading it and I just give up because it doesn't make any sense.
To be
Yeah.
fair, sometimes there's
Gina?
nothing. I
Yeah, I was
just
gonna say,
read
Gina
directly
has
off the
a
art theater
comment.
site
And
for the
could-
coming
It
week.
takes
We were on the Newmark thing.
Wait, Gina had
Wh-
I don't,
Gina,
it might be related, I don't know if it's,
Okay.
Gina, was it?
It's related.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the,
So something that came up in the PC meeting, the other night was consistency. And, with the weather being optional, it seems to me like that would be a good thing, that would be good to be consistent. Maybe during morning menu, when people are like on their way to work so that they know what the weather's gonna be for the day. So I don't know if that's something that we want to add to the day sheets for the morning menu crew to read or not. I
or
just
an
thought I'd
optional
bring it up.
reading perhaps.
Yeah,
you know,
and that
makes
could be
it
a PC
optional.
thing. I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to feel like I have influence on that. I don't want the station manager to feel like she's influencing shows.
That would be a PC.
Yeah,
that'd be a
yeah.
PC thing.
So I think it's cool. I think that's cool. I like that people like it. I will say there's about 15 people right now who automatically are like, yeah, let's do it. So, and I know the guy's really excited. So.
The only thing about doing the weather report is that automatically makes the show dated.
Right.
You know, so if you are worried about having evergreen programming,
Well, it's the same thing with the art theater.
yeah.
oh, absolutely.
And
It's
the
all
people-
morning menu.
And a good chunk of the
PSAs.
PSAs.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
Mhm.
Ty, did you have something back?
Actually, make it two things. Now, I had been wanting to be able to give the weather for years,
Yeah.
to be perfectly honest. I'll skip. Go ahead with the other thing. You said that you found out from Newmark that it's an issue due to the way.
Yeah.
Does that mean new units still have this issue?
I think so.
Wow.
It's something about the way that the tray is sitting in there, the way that it comes out. So after we looked, and we have 10 of these, 15.
Yeah.
Why are they all having this? They said it's the way that the tray is sitting in there. So he said it is just a rubber band.
Wow.
Like a little, and you can like microwave actual rubber bands, but we bought distrike bands to do it. They were $6 on Amazon.
That's great.
So
What does
yeah.
this mean about our last CD players then?
So we took some from the basement.
Yeah.
And fixed those. So like,
So we could either sell them or
Right.
reuse them somewhere
right. So
else.
we switched things
Excellent.
around and we brought some up. So I mean, we now have the ones that were junk, essentially because of the tray, are back to life.
There was one in the
Awesome.
basement, and there was a note on it about how it had been fixed, and it seemed like it said that the disk drive tray it seemed like the same problem that we were having, and
Yeah.
it was taken to the radio doctors in 2015 and fixed, but it was down there because of that same issue.
Again.
And so I think it's just a thing where the bands just
They were out. Yeah, they were out pretty. But
But
it
it's an
was.
easy fix.
Yeah, once we figured it out, it was
Once you
easy.
figure it out.
Then you don't, we
Yeah.
It
got,
sounds like we need to buy those things by the gross.
Yeah. I bought one pack. We bought a pack of 4. I think we used them all up. So we're gonna see how long these last. They were a little bit thinner than the ones that came out. So we're gonna see like how quickly do these stretch out. Should we buy thicker ones? Whatever. And then once we see, we'll buy a new set, buy a bunch, and then maybe we can look at selling some of them. And we have stacks full. That's a Bob and Bruce question. I'm not in it.
Yeah, but I just think we've got all
Yeah.
that broken stuff down there.
Yeah.
If it's a simple
Yeah.
fix, then maybe
It
we
was
can-
really
yeah.
easy, and the guy on Newmark said like yeah, this happens, it's easy, but you have to be willing to get into it, so we followed through that,
Yay.
went for it.
Great.
Thank you both so much.
Yay.
Thank you.
That's
very cool.
wonderful.
I told you it was exciting.
Thanks.
It is exciting.
Thanks to both of you for
Yeah.
being industrious.
Okay, no.
For being
And just
millennials.
one more comment, I love your report, the way you wrote it this week,
Good.
or this month.
Sure.
Very informative and
Direct.
easy to read.
Good.
I have a question.
Yes.
I concur with both things about fixing the CD players. I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
And I also like the report.
good.
I don't like to read a log. My question is, there looks like a lot of hopeful things on underwriting. Did we actually have any of these yet brought in cash for the month of January?
Probably today's the 30th. Not for
Yeah.
cash wise. The contract is in the works.
Okay.
Finalizing language, things like that.
Okay,
So I would say February report will
yeah.
be a lot.
Okay, and this weather thing doesn't really have anything to do with money
No.
for us, it's just kind
Just
of
a
exposure.
collaboration
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And I don't know if you guys are on Facebook or not, but he did put our logo
He's
right
not.
on. Yeah, get on her.
Okay.
Right on the
Neither is Denise.
That's right. So our logo is right on his banner. It's on his website. And he's really putting it out there. So a lot of, I would say, like, our age-ish people are that's where we get our weather from, and so it's hitting a new audience, I think. So it's hopefully more.
He was
Alright.
big in the music scene, so he was
Yeah.
a drummer in a lot of punk and hardcore bands.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
he was.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so he was a
Diamond
lefty. He
Stretch,
performed.
Mhm.
He's excited. So
I still want to know which show that was.
Did anybody think it should be called Whether or Not You Bike?
that was cute. That was really clever.
What?
Whether or Not You Bike. That's what it
Oh.
was.
No,
Pretty
never.
good.
Got it.
Not unless
I'm
you
doing
not
it.
unless you want to be punished. I did not.
I
Okay.
don't know, I think it's cute, I
Just-
like puns.
Alright.
Just very quickly regarding like an underwriting
Yeah,
or whatever,
of course.
and since, the red herring and West are like this, have you ever
Yes.
reached out to the red herring? I mean, of course, I know I do just, talking to my daughter, like,
Yeah.
hey, get the red herring, but
Yeah.
And this
I
is
mean-
the 50th anniversary,
Oh, really?
yes.
I
And there
don't
have
know.
been
You've been
people,
open that long?
yes.
so actually you would wanna contact the Channing Murray Foundation.
Yes, Jenny Murray,
Okay.
definitely.
We last staff member had reached out or talked about it. I don't know, but said that there was not financial ability to support that. I don't know.
They may be wanting to promote their 50th anniversary.
Right.
Yeah.
So I
I
can
haven't
reach out.
heard anything and,
Okay.
yeah.
I can reach out myself and see. It's been hopefully about a year since the last time we reached out.
And I think they have some new people on the board.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Channing what?
Channing
Channing
Murray.
Murray.
Channing
It's
Murray.
Channing
the, it's
Murray.
the Unitarian Church on campus across the street from the foreign language building.
But it's under the Channing Murray
Also-
Yeah,
Foundation.
the Red Herring is underneath in the same building, and they have lunch and performances there and stuff.
Okay.
Corner of
the
Matthews and
Yes.
Oakland.
Okay.
The war room changed to the peace room, but is it still there?
It's still the war room.
It's still the war room?
Yeah.
Good, because Joe Lex asked me to find out about that.
It's still the war room.
Still
All right.
Maybe some
Yes.
Okay.
What's next?
Jenny Murray's also a venue too that you can rent
Okay.
out.
Oh, that's good. What is it?
Underwriting, which you kind of already rolled through, so
Okay.
No, I had a question about the
Okay.
renewals. How's that going? Because I know there were a bunch of expired ones.
Yeah, so they're half and half. We're still getting through it. A couple of them said they needed to wait to get to the new year. So I left them in the book. I let them keep going. I didn't want to pull them if they were going to resign. Yeah. So there's just been a couple that have said no. Most of them are said, let's see how our end of the year turns out. So
and Lainey,
Yes.
if we could get an underwriting report like you did last for the 9th each month, so you know how you do the Excel spreadsheet with all of the underwriters and kind of their status
okay.
in one place, that'd be great.
Yeah. I'll have to look at it. I don't remember what I did.
Alright, next is station committees, this will be digital library and those. I didn't get any reports from those. So we'll move on.
I can tell you the music committee had 3 people show up last time, so we couldn't officially do anything.
Okay.
I have missed half a dozen meetings in the last month, because I've been there.
Anthony was very prepared. He had all this paperwork. He wanted to go over our SOP, and there was just
Nobody there.
we had dinner because
Okay. Alright, pledge drive.
So-
Lenny?
Okay, so maybe behind my report is a pledge drive. We just had a quick, not preliminary meeting, myself, Brian, and Bob, who was really interested in maybe helping really support it. He's never been around for a pledge drive, so I want to use the time to kind of get him caught up, get him caught up. Also use that time for Brian and I to reflect on what would work well for fall pledge drive. It was both of our first pledge drives. What we would like to see done differently. So he and I have some ideas, but on there you can see we looked at some dates, so I'd like the board to look at those dates and approve or not approve. It is after spring break, so it's right after spring break, and it ends before Easter. The 9th and 10th is Boneyard weekend, so we thought it would be nice to overlap onto Boneyard. We also played with some ideas to be a location on the Boneyard map again. We were last year, but also use that, maybe have artists donate pieces. Bob has a lot, he's a local artist, he has some contacts, and use that. Maybe they can donate it to WEFT. He suggested sell them for $36, I think maybe more.
$90.10.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And then give that to WEFT. We also had an idea to have a drag show after the event. There is a local drag show during the CU Pride
I was just
Festival.
gonna say, what kind of drag, I mean,
People.
car or people? I mean,
Both.
let's clarify that.
Drag
We do
queens and
both.
drag clubs.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we talked about doing that, but do it more as like as part of Boneyard, like as our art presentation, so we could be on the map, free advertising.
Have you talked to either the folks that do that? There's also an usual drag night once a week.
Yeah.
And there's some other people that do drag occasionally at local towns.
Yeah. So Bob was really up on the drag scene, so he was gonna kind of head that up and see what was possible. We did say that would be fun for students. That's why they try and do the Pride one when they do. Students really have a big turnout for them. We thought we could do a $5 cover, so we get the door fee, also for pledge drive, or in pass the bucket donations. So Bob and I talked about the space across from WEF that has like the garage doors.
Yeah.
He's had an art show in there a couple times, and he knows the people that do it. So we talked about even having it in there.
Dr. Youngerman and Tom Pantham, Dr. Youngerman's
I know,
place?
yes.
Mhm.
I know. I said I'm not talking to them.
Alright.
So they said that we'd look at that. And we also talked about maybe having it at the Accord, having some space donated where that bar can make money off the alcohol or whatever. So we talked about that. We talked about.
I'm just gonna throw this out here real quick about that, and just that, we do have, and tell me if I'm being completely un-PC here, I'm not really sure, because I'm not sure where the drag, queen thing, drag shows fall into this, but I completely respect all, sexual orientations, but do drag, shows actually need to be a part of what WEFT does? Because we do have a lot of religious programming on as well, and we need to respect people's point of view without discriminating, of course, but I don't know that not having drag shows actually would discriminate against people who are transgender.
It would, I believe.
Well, I hear you, but I want you to hear me too.
Okay.
And I don't think we would ever discriminate in programming, but to actually have, and to, you know, if they wanted to have a drag show on air, I don't think that would be one thing, but for WEF to sponsor something, I just think we should think twice about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not in that community very much. I don't know. Bob is in that community, and so he, I think, was able to most relate. And so I don't know. That's something we would talk to. I did think about that as well. Like, I don't want to scare off people who are in our religious shows, but I also don't want to turn our back on a different crowd that, you know what I mean, that might go to those. Like, I think we have to support both of them. If we are going to have a nice luncheon that my grandma wants to go to, I think we should have be able to have something that, you know, other people might want to go to, Bob and people like that, you know.
It's part of our station's mission to represent
The
all the
whole
different
community.
The whole community, not just
Right.
one part of it, what most people would want us to do or
Right.
something.
On
It's-
air.
And I can't speak for my co-host, but Women Making Waves has been a gay friendly show since day one of WEF.
Yeah. I just, the idea was to support the community. With everything that's going on in the world
Yes.
right now, it was an idea to support the community, all facets of it. So yeah. Andrew, do you?
It doesn't have any bearing on this, I have to rethink it.
Okay, so we talked about that.
Actually, what you just said, have we been reaching out to the Muslim community? Have we been reaching out to the different, I mean, are we making any kind of an effort to talk to people and maybe do that? Brian's not here, but CU Progressive News.
So let's come back to that so I don't forget after we get through spring pledge drive. So then we were thinking about themes, like what are we gonna do? And I know Vicky had mentioned
Revolutionary
Yeah,
Radio.
because I always mix it up. Okay, so revolutionary radio. I mentioned that. I thought that was good. We also talked about, with everything that's going on right now, do you do something like, WEFT is weaving, supporting the community, we're community, something community-ish. I don't know. Driving home that part of it.
I kind of like Michael Jordan saying in discussions of this topic. Michael Jordan, when asked why he didn't get more politically involved, he said Republicans buy shoes too. So I
Said what, Republicans what?
buy shoes too. So
Oh.
his point was he never got overtly political because he didn't want to insult half of
Right,
the
but no,
potential
I-
Or
voters.
hurt his business, you can look
Yeah.
at it
Yeah.
a couple of
It's
different
Yeah.
ways.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think the point is
Duh.
you have to balance that and
Right.
not become overtly.
Right. So
Yeah.
I think if I agree completely. So
Haven't
that's,
we though had something similar to Revolutionary Radio before?
Mm-mm.
We've had,
Revolutionary Radio I have no problem with.
What is
No,
it?
Didn't
like
I
so,
hear-
I'm saying that I don't think it should be saying whatever. I'm saying it's probably about supporting our community. Like the
Right,
community radio
but-
station, we're trying to do PSAs. Like
Right,
that's
right.
our mission. Like
Yeah.
maybe that's what we should. I don't know, but I don't know if the theme is a discussion the board wants to decide, or if the pledge drive committee
Pledge Drive
group.
Committee
Pledge Drive
usually
Committee,
does
we
that.
just can, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just giving the updates. We also talked about doing testimonials from the community members and volunteers. And we can record them. We can have them on as a drop-in. We can play them. Why is WEFT important to you? Why should other people support WEFT? Why is it important? Like Vicky puts all the readings up, which we did, and that was great. But also another way of saying why it's important. Like WEFT gave me a place to.
Yeah, we actually did that about a year ago.
Okay.
And
I
some of
think,
them
and
are
there
saved
were-
on March or
Yeah.
Smart
Okay.
Sheet, and that's where they should be saved when you do them again.
Okay, so we talked about that. That might be a good idea, especially with other nonprofits we've been really working with this year. Have races, have Black Lives Matter, student bands and fans, local musicians. Saying why WEFT is important, why is anybody should care. So we talked about that. Bob thought it was a good idea to pull out music department faculty at U of I in Parkland. Their addresses are public. So we could send them a letter if they're not already on our mailing list. We also talked about gathering as many emails as possible between now and then. Build an email list to say the pledge drive is going on right now, with the link to donate.
The pledge drive thing is a music department, but don't forget theater and some of the arts.
That's
Not
a
least
good-
of which if you're trying to get people to donate to
Yeah.
as part of that type of
That's a
thing.
good idea.
This
Bob,
would be
yeah.
another way to kind of reach
Agreed.
out.
Bob just knew that those were there, but I think they would all have to be.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll look at those two.
Yeah.
And work on, and look at that for the mailing. We have a potential letter that we can start working off of, that Vicki and I kind of helped put together, but we'll, look at it and see if it's still,
Okay.
useful.
And the other topic we need to have.
Oh, excuse me, just a second. This is still, when is the next pledge drive meeting?
We haven't
Thank
said
you.
it yet. I'm
That
gonna
was
set
one
it.
of my 4 questions.
So
Mm.
I have a list of people who are interested, so I'm gonna email them. Once we leave here and have a goal, I wanna email them and say
Yeah,
like,
and I was staying on pledge drive. Did you
Yes.
get the document with the amount?
yes, so I have it, but we're gonna do some hand editing and looking at it together. So let's pass. So on the sheet, it's a little confusing, so don't be alarmed until you see it. Spring pledge drive and fall pledge drive 2015, and I don't have access to numbers for it right now. They're not in our QuickBooks because that was pre-QuickBook time. So the numbers that Jermaine, I just emailed it to you like an hour ago.
Oh, okay.
Did you get it? Okay.
Mm.
So the numbers on there are not right. I know we raised more than that, but that's the only thing I have because it came over, I don't know, weird. What I could find in QuickBooks was weird. So I can't look at those. Spring Pledge Drive 2016, fall pledge drive 2016, those are accurate numbers 100%. Winter mailing, I combined that with our Give Big this year, because they were both right about the same time. I figured doing two might have taken more attention away from one. So total's under that. So we have to pick out a goal for 2017. The last 2 years, or the last two pledge drives, I think were 20,000. But we also need to keep in mind that Sandra gave, and Elliot and Kevin, they gave a big chunk of those donations. So if you want real numbers minus Sandra's donation, you want to subtract about 10,000 from spring 2016, fall 2016, to have an accurate number without Sandra's large donation.
From each of them, or from?
From each,
Okay.
10,000 from each.
So we're looking at $11,000.
From both.
As a goal?
Oh no,
No,
that's,
that's
what
what
we
we-
made.
What it basically was.
Yeah,
Made
okay.
minus
Right,
the
minus the big donation, okay.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
I guess later we'll talk about meetings and goals and things.
Yeah.
So the only, I guess, questions or points I'd make, one thing I'm not clear about, I guess, is in talking about putting on a drag show as part
Yeah.
of is this something that people could take their kids to, or is it going to
To
be
a drag show?
No.
No.
so okay, well
Take my
no.
baby.
that
Maybe.
No one's
Th-
naked, but it is
well then
risque.
Sandra's concern is valid if it's something that not everybody
Well, it would
could
still
go
be a
to-
nighttime.
okay.
It would be a nighttime
Yeah.
evening.
Well-
So our thought was it would be the same night as our one of the nights of our boneyard.
okay.
If we did, these were spitball ideas. It would be like the nighttime after boneyard event. Kind of like how we do Wet Fest for fall.
So we
It's not
talking PG-13 R?
a typical
It's like
drag
a
show.
burlesque group. Same
Oh,
type
I
of thing.
yeah we
So if you've been to a burlesque show, it's the same type of thing.
Weft had a burlesque fundraiser.
I
about
know,
some-
but this is
but-
actually why I said it
But
would
my
be,
girlfriend was very
against-
offended by it and
Oh.
left.
Well, see, I would be offended if I heard something about this wasn't put on because I am
Right.
queer and these
It's
are
not
my.
about being
I've
fair.
I've
I'm
never heard
actually
them.
saying that
I've
we
never
feel
actually
I'm
heard them
excluded from
conflated
the community
before.
because
So
of something like
Right,
this.
I don't want, I want to say, and I'm not saying anything about anybody else, but I don't want it to feel like WEF decided not to do it because it was bad or dirty, or we didn't want to be
That
touching
is,
it.
yeah.
What-
I would rather say like, that, I don't think that's a good, let's go a different.
I know we've had
I don't
strippers
know.
come to WEF for doing fundraisers before. Yes, that was actually during Wheels Show many years ago.
Okay, I don't.
So I know
Live on the air.
exactly.
Well,
So we've had
that's-
strippers at WEF before. We've had burlesque shows. So I'm just saying it's not a thing out of common with WEF to do.
Right.
Well, and I
It is an
think
artistic
it's
community.
perfectly
They are
reasonable to do,
Performers.
but why not invite other parts of the WEF community to add something to the program as well? It doesn't have to, we don't have to hang our hat on a drag show. I don't have any problem with it.
Right. I just think that, maybe this time, I'm not saying we are doing it, saying if we did a drag show this time, maybe next time it's a we go to
Of
a different
course,
part of
yeah,
the community.
yeah,
I just think
exactly.
we have to support all parts of the
So-
community, and I think if we blend it all into one show, some people who are be okay with the drag show are not gonna, or, if I came to one part of it, I may not wanna stay for the drag show or the burlesque show, but, so I think we just need to have a fine line of, if we
And
invite
don't have to
everybody.
do that. We don't have to do everything all together either. We can have maybe a drag show at night, the way we would have the Dolly Parton show. The way
Right.
we would have a bunch of women musicians. The way we would have somebody from the old time country.
Right.
So,
Or as we
yeah.
did with the last time, just bringing in lots of live music in the
Yeah,
station, which I
yeah.
think went really well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
all I wanted to add 5
Sorry.
minutes ago was
Sorry.
that you brought up luncheon with grandma or whatever,
Right.
and the religious programming came up, and I'd say if we are going to do this, I think the one thing we need to do is be prepared to either volunteer or if it comes up, be ready for it. Go to the people on Sunday morning and say, you get an event too.
Yeah.
That's assuming that this is a godless event, which
I-
many of these people are also
Yeah.
religious themselves. So,
Well, I mean, my-
You have a very good point.
Well, except
Touche.
it's not really about what the event actually is, it's about what perceptions.
All I'm
Right.
saying is
I think
if there
If
there is a controversial event, we should be prepared to do controversial events to.
I agree, but I don't think that's fair to say that a drag show is controversial. I think that's wrong.
Well, the burlesque show was controversial too, and that was
but
not.
that's not a drag show. Burlesque, they're similar, but they're not.
opinion, Tom.
No, I think,
Right.
no,
I'm telling
I
you
think-
based on the Wefties and the board members that
the
were
drag
there.
show's gonna
So.
have someone
But I did-
perform, they're gonna lip sync and dance to something.
I will say that I do think we have a bunch
Which is
of fresh
different than
faces
burlesque
in
show.
Weft, And I think
But-
the future of WEFT, you know, as older WEFTies are falling out or moving on or whatever, I think that
Dying.
we need to support the community that is now my age group. It has a lot more gay, transgender,
Or just
whatever.
friendly. Actually, at
Right.
the direction of C Street, I've seen a lot of actually straight people, whatever.
Yeah.
Because actually, for some women, it's safer to
It-
kind of
yeah.
go there. These kind of
Yeah.
shows.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
just,
it's-
I on Todd's thought though, and this is not the point that I made for that. I'm sorry. It's just saying that I could easily see WEF doing like something to support the churches maybe, or something that they would enjoy. But would the groups that would be going to the drag show feel comfortable going to that?
Oh,
so,
no, I just
and-
wanted to bring
yeah.
up that I didn't think Sandra was out of line for
No,
saying
I
that we
I
should-
don't agree with you, actually, so don't.
Okay, well,
I didn't get my point across.
if I'm not actually supporting your point, then never mind.
Okay, this is definitely a topic we need to, I think, go more in depth into, and I think this is definitely a topic for the pledge drive committee.
Yes.
So
If you
when are
I
those?
just
care about
got
it, go to the
when,
pledge
one
drive
more
committee.
thing to think
when are
about
those
for
next
pledge
meetings?
drive. If
Well, and I
that's
also
okay.
want to do goals. Goals are definitely for here. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, do the goals first, then I
Okay.
have something to
So based on these targets, based on these past results, do people have a strong feeling of targets? And I do want to kind of base it on past results, and also what you believe the efforts that are projecting themselves might lead to an increases. So, are there any people who have strong inklings on goals?
Andrew has a goal.
I know this will possibly be a point of contention, but I don't want us to start dropping our numbers because that will send the wrong message across.
I
Yep,
agree.
I
I do
agree.
think the number that we set needs to be similar to what it's been, so people don't feel like, oh, we're not raising any money. I don't want them to feel too doomsday, although they need to feel it serious. You know, you can't set it too high and they feel really deflated, but we do need it to be high because we need a lot of money.
What was the goal last time?
20,000.
Yeah.
And it, you know, we got a big chunk up front, and so people were like, yeah, we got so much money, and people were happy, and it was going. But that was one chunk from one person, and then we got to the end, and we tapered off, and then I called that one person back, and I was crying because we weren't making any money, we were falling short. That person gave more money, and so we hit our goal, and then it trickled in to get more and more, to get a little over 20,000. So.
Okay.
Maybe we should try to set a goal of 20,000 or 25,000, and we aren't going to get the 10,000 that we got the last two times.
How,
but we could.
one of the questions is how to get, sorry, go ahead.
No,
I'm sorry.
I was just saying that if, you know, okay, say we got $21,000, okay, so we set the goal for around $21,000 to $25,000, and then we bust ass, so because we know we're not going to get the $10,000, and we just make sure that that
We get as much as we can.
get as much as we can, and not be there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done with the pledge drive, and but you know, we can do it.
We've been saying we can do it, but we haven't been doing it.
Right, exactly.
But we
So-
still, you know, that just doesn't mean that we can't do it now.
We can, but people have got to do it.
Yeah.
You know, we're at that.
That's the thing.
No,
Right.
the,
We
the
can't.
members
Right,
have,
yeah.
the members are gonna have to step up,
Tell.
seriously.
Mhm.
Obviously, I haven't been here for the past 3, I think.
Sure.
But I think one of the things that harmed pledge drives the most over the years in the past, besides just pledge drives not worldwide working as well as they used to,
Right.
is unattainable goals where we were doomed
Right.
from the beginning.
Right.
The most energy and success I've ever experienced as part of a pledge drive was when we had an attainable goal. We had regular reporting of how we were doing. We had like number of calls per hour. We had targets, and I had more pledges that drive than all the other drives, or maybe comparable to all the other drives, because I told people we're $750 away, we're
Right.
$500 away.
Right.
If we have either 20,000, which we have made, or 25, which is the next step up,
Right.
either of those is at least realistic. But if we start talking 30, 40, then
Right.
everybody's going to be demoralized because.
Right.
And maybe they ought to be demoralized.
But that doesn't mean we can get blood from a stone.
Right.
Or,
Right.
Mark.
Right, what-
Yeah, see, I guess I take a different approach on this. I think we ought to look and see how much we need. You know, look at our budget and say, if we need, I don't know, let's say $30,000 twice a year, and by God, our goal ought to be $30,000. We ought to be honest with our listeners and say, you know, we need $30,000 if we're gonna survive. Okay, maybe it makes us feel good if we set the goal at 20,000 and we get 21,000. Man, we really feel good. We can really feel good together when we close the fucking doors. Okay?
Use your
Yeah.
brain.
So I take a different approach. If we want to feel good, let's set it at $1,000 and we can overachieve by 20 times.
Very.
Okay, let's set the goal at what we need and work
And
to
go
achieve
for it.
that.
Well, except my concern there is, you know, you can set the goal at 30,000, but what are you going to do to get there? And I think that, you know, I had these concerns when I was on the board last time. We'd set our goals at 40 and regularly at 20. And so I would like us to, you know, set our goal, I think, where a number of people are talking kind of in more this realistic range of 20, 25. I agree we need the 30, but I think we also need to have that concept of how we get there. And I don't think it's really about a feel good. I don't really think it's about a feel good. I think it's really about setting realistic expectations, and I don't know, that's just kind of where I end on that. Dot, dot, dot.
Hands everywhere.
Yep.
Andrew was ahead of
Yep.
Sandra and me.
My basic question is actually kind of going to be for Todd, because I do think both you and Mark both have very valid points here. We don't want to feel deflated, we also don't want to fall short, but what year was this very successful year? Because I'm really interested in what we did.
I could look it up.
Yeah.
We were told it was the first time I remember us being told it was the most important pledge drive we'd ever have, and then we were supposed to say that every pledge drive after that too. Like every election is the most important election we've ever had, and eventually people just get numb
Get
to it.
desensitized, yeah.
But I could look it up because
Yeah,
you know I have records of people telling me how much they donated during my show. So
I mean, I'm suddenly
Yeah,
thinking
right.
with regards to what we need versus what we want
Well,
versus wanting to win.
the thing is, we can be honest with people and tell them what we need, but when we set the goal higher in all the times I was on the board, I never actually saw any correlation between raising it to an unreasonable or an unrealistic level and actually getting more because of it.
The only thing I worry is seeing, well, quote unquote, counting on stretch goals to make our end goal.
Well, I feel like you can stretch it a little and, you know, convince people to just give till it hurts. But
Right.
if they know they can't even, you know.
There is that.
We did all those things that you named last pledge drive. We reported the numbers every day. We told how many people were not calling and how many people were. It was slow. We reported the people. We were like, oh, they must be online. No, they're not online. You know, we were looking at the numbers online. We were looking at it. Just the truth of the matter is until our listenership gets up, until we start having really good programming, good consistent programming, think about our programming all the time, we get rid of the deadbeat programs, meaning people who are not members, who cannot go out and promote their programs. You can call them what they want, whatever.
You mean non-associates?
Well, that's, that, you know,
Well, there are plenty of those.
Yeah.
well, it's all gonna be a process. It's all gonna be a process. Until then, your realistic goal is $11,000. We did everything right last time. We really did. There was nothing that we could have done better in terms of we had bands in, we reported, we had enthusiasm, we had a good premium, you know, it's like we did it all in what you're supposed to do. And we raised $11,000. That's the truth.
Part of me wonders if when we get a big donation, do people not feel the urge they have to donate? Like, oh, they already raised 11,000. I don't have to call. I don't know. That would probably be me. If I felt like, oh, they're not making any money, I'm gonna call and
I
donate.
don't think
Or
so.
if you
Different
No.
people, different motivations.
Yeah.
If
you've
it would've
met your
been like
$20,000 goal,
100,000,
why need to give over beyond that?
but,
Well, I will reiterate, we can be honest with people that we need more than, I think we need to be clear that the goal is our minimum.
And
Okay,
I mean,
so
that's
where's
what
this-
I just very, very, very quickly again. I mean, again during the pledge drive on my shows. I mean, I would
Yeah.
tell people, this
Yeah.
is do or die, people.
She
I mean,
did.
seriously. You know, we're not messing around here. This is it.
Bob,
And,
where's the speaker
you know.
list?
but
sorry.
I said what I wanted to say.
Speaker
at the
list.
same time.
Oh, I have the speaker list?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Barb was next
Barb
after
is
me.
talking, so I guess she's next.
Okay, and then
At
two
the
more after
same
her.
time, what we do have to do is make sure that everybody that's in that booth knows what's going on and is excited about it, and actually, it's like, okay, we've had, air shifter training or pledge drive training over and over and over and over again. So people think that they know everything, and they don't, and they're
They-
not excited.
They're not, but those are probably the same people who aren't reading emails. They're not doing what they need to do to be involved. They're not reading the WW. They're not listening to me if I go in there and say, hey, this is what we're doing. They're tuning it out. They don't give a shit.
No, they need to buy in.
Well, that's the
and-
piece,
yeah.
that if that's the PC to go in and say, you're not doing your shit. You
Get the
aren't
hell out of
supporting
here.
web.
And that's
You-
what I wanted to do when I was on the PC, and it never happened. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's all I'm gonna say.
Alright. Last comment, and then we need to get to kind of
I had-
getting consensus
I
on
was
goals.
holding
Vicky?
out to the end. So, donor snap is going to be an issue during the pledge drive. I was talking to
Use
Brian
issue.
today, there is on donor snap on the website, there's a little box that has like 186 pledges that are ready, that are not in the database.
Yeah.
And if they're not in the database, then I don't think it's that many people, because there were like repeated donations, like sustaining donations, and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But probably 150 people who are in that, all I can call it is a holding zone.
Queue.
And they're not in the database. And so when you guys
Right.
put together that mailing list, there are gonna be about 150 people who are recent donors
Yeah.
who won't get a letter.
Well, you physically have to go in and load them through, like, click them all through and load them through. So I
Mhm.
guess, we'll just have to make sure we do that before spring pledge drive. Donor snap, that we've all kind of said is pretty cumbersome. This last pledge drive, or,
Mhm.
Give Big, we used, Click and Pledge, and, that, we have free access for a year, so maybe we look at donor software pretty heavily and figure out if we wanna do that switch before.
I hate donor snap.
I do too. I hate
Yeah.
it with you. And Brian and I yell at it every time we use it. It's just
So
not that user
we're
friendly.
just gonna quit using it, right?
Well, we
Well,
can't
have
just
to get our
quit.
database
Yeah, we have to have
Well,
more database.
that's what I meant, but we're not gonna
Right.
use it for pledge drive.
We
Oh, we
have
have
to
to.
use it. We
We
don't
have
have
to use it.
anything
Well,
else.
we
We only
Nothing
have one
else.
database.
It works fine as far as, being able to make your donation.
Right. So it's fine to give your money. It's just on our end,
It's
trying
a
to
lot more
track
work.
it and use it and make it what
It
you
took
need.
me 4 days to put together the mailing list for the last pledge
That's
drive.
absurd.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
4
last,
8-hour days.
yeah, it
That's
was
absurd.
long.
Whoa.
So we've, one of the interns, we've had him start looking at, researching again. I mean, I researched, Vicky has, Brian has, we've all researched how these mailing lists the right way. We've talked to customer support like 100 times. So we just need to figure out, do we want to, we'll have to look at our options. But I agree, it doesn't work that great. It's just what I was given. But when we imported everything in from FileMaker Pro, is that what it was? So we'll have to do that again, and it kind of screwed up the system of like making it angry to where it looked like everything was donated in February. So we'll have to, it's
Yeah, so according to Donor Snap, we've got 3,500 people who have contributed in the last year.
right,
And that's not
That's
true.
awful.
right.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a motion to make on a goal?
Could I get a clarification first?
Okay.
So since the last board meeting, we've had a lot of talk about things have been done wrong in the past, but we're gonna, do things right, and we're gonna bring things up. And so I'm hearing that there are a lot of air shifters that don't cooperate with Pledge Drive, and their dues aren't paid. And I'm thinking, I don't think it makes any sense to go into Pledge Drive without telling people that if they're not going to participate in Pledge Drive and they're not members and they're not associates, that I think that's something that needs to be addressed before we start Pledge Drive.
Right.
And, it's a new year, and we talked about finally, bringing it, we have people who've never been associates who are on the air, and it's bad enough if they haven't ever paid dues, but if they also are actively resisting pledge drive, we can set all the goals and we can do all the reports, and it's not going to matter if half the shows aren't even cooperating. So I don't think it makes any sense to be saying we're going to do this, this, and this, and these are our goals and these are our meetings if we're not going to talk to individual associates and non-associate non-members and say, look, shape up or ship out.
So we need lists. We need to know who these people are, and I tried to
Well,
do
we
that
need
a
to do
couple
that
of years
before
ago.
we start.
Yeah, I tried to do that a couple of years ago and didn't get as far as I should have, so.
Sandra.
I just think that we do need, that what you're saying needs to happen, and it needs to, and I wanna say that I think anybody who is on the, who is an associate needs to have a volunteer commitment that is on a committee, and they need to be showing up for the committee.
Okay.
And if they don't want to be on a committee, then they can get a waiver from Laney. I'm pretty sure that that's the way it's written, that they can say, no, I'm volunteering directly with the station manager instead of on a committee. But, really, let's start saying, that the hammer's coming down.
Yes.
Before we do that, I have a suggestion that this board make sure that their hands are clean before we start
Of course.
advocating these rules, because I'm pretty sure that there are members on this board that are not members of the station.
They haven't paid their $40.
That's right.
correct.
2 of them.
I'm assuming I'm probably up at some point. I've been asking, but I think it's been about a year, so I'm pretty sure if I'm not already on the list. But that's also why
I'm
I've
not
been asking,
naming
like,
names, but
when
I,
do
when
I
I
owe
was
it?
in the
'Cause
database, I
I've been
checked
asking
on
for
phone
months, like, I
numbers.
think I owe.
I paid
I'm
on
pretty sure I'm
Webfest
good.
earlier, so.
I agree with you.
I know you're
I
updated.
think you're due.
So I have a bill due.
So, I'm trying to think just around the table. And I don't know the two people, I don't know.
I'm
But
sure it's
anyway,
gotta
you're
be,
right.
I'm sure.
Yes, the board better have their
It's been a
hands
long time
clean.
since I've
Yeah,
read it.
before the board votes.
And
But
I
I
would
can fix
say
that.
a minimum
I paid less, Jim,
of $40.
Yeah.
at the associates meeting, so.
Right, it is disheartening
I
when you
handed it
look
to
and
Lainey.
you see
Yeah.
people are,
The associates
Did you?
meeting.
It's not in the database.
He absolutely did. He wrote me a check, but that was when we were giving them to Megan, so I don't know.
I believe you,
Okay.
but
I-
it's not in the database. And as I preface this whole thing with the database is totally screwed up. So,
Well, if,
There you
if,
go.
if I had not handed it to Lainey, I would not be sure
I
when the date
100%
was,
know
but
that.
I had the worst headache of my life that night, I think, and I remember the night pretty well,
100%.
so.
Well, how can we make it easier for, because like,
It's
I've been using my own
hard to-
example class since
right.
I don't know, I'm sure there's other people that are like,
Everybody.
do I owe, do I not,
Right.
like,
Absolutely.
and just like, because I know a few years ago I double paid actually for something, because I
Yeah.
wasn't sure, and the turnout's like, I never quite know.
Right, and I don't think most people do. Gina, I know, has a point, and her and I talked about meeting with Mike, and I've reached out to Mike for the Associates Committee to get a list together. I've not heard back, and that was a few weeks ago.
it is
Gina and I
complicated.
talked about sitting down and us trying to do it, but I don't know what the associates already have, so I don't wanna, reinvent the wheel. I don't want stuff on their toes. I don't know.
But you know that you have to do one part of it, and that is know what people have paid. And they have to know
Right, but I only
who's
know.
attended the meetings, and Gina
Well-
has to know, if they've had a volunteer
Well,
commitment.
right, so it takes the three of us, but so I'm saying in terms of building a list of people, I don't know what they have. I only know what people have paid, I don't know the system that was here before me with Megan and whatever, when there wasn't a station manager. So I can only say what's in my QuickBooks, for sure.
And
You know,
We did that, we
Was that
backtracked a
point
year.
on
Can't we just
minutes?
start a new, basically a new list
No,
of what
we
have,
backtracked a year.
and then
So
just
I'll
go
put it on your
forward,
minutes.
because
And
these are
I
both
think
yearly.
I
So you
have a
could
list
kind of-
still, I think.
On the bottom of your minutes, like.
Well, we'll have to.
well, but it was
You
based
know what
on
part
you-
FileMaker Pro, and
About the
things
number
have.
list was
But
on-
we
was it out?
did that, that's what we did.
Was it-
Last
I
page of your
think
minutes,
everything
like,
should be,
about-
right, but I'm saying for donor snap, I only know what's in my QuickBooks.
And Mike and the AEC could be doing more with attendance records.
Right, I don't
So-
know. That's the thing is I don't know. I don't know until we're all in a room. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's not just the membership, it's also the volunteer
Right.
commitment.
Yeah.
of a lot of people who
Right.
just come and do their show,
And that's
and
it.
that's what they do.
Yeah.
It's the same 20 people.
And that just absolutely makes me want to jump up and down and scream because we kept being told, oh, well, we don't have enough air shifters, so we won't worry about volunteer commitment.
Well,
It's
we're
too
getting
much
away from
work.
that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so much work to track
All right,
volunteer
we're losing it
commitment. So
here,
what we need to
Brian.
do is,
Okay.
Alright.
All right. So
goal.
yeah, so goal.
Oh, yeah.
I was checking on one of the future things on the agenda with Mark real quick. So I agree that we can't totally do a goal without ensuring that we're gonna have total buy-in of air shifters. And I kind of remember the harangues that started when we talked last time about going in and culling the herd. So I kinda, that's a longer form issue, but does need to be handled before pledge drive. I'm not sure where I wanna go with that one. And I think we all need to talk about where we wanna go with that one and what that means for the conversation at the station going forward. And I'm sure the temperature on that would become nuclear pretty quick. So, do we want to forego the goal until we hit that? Except, I think we need to get that goal down and all. I don't know.
I've got a
What's the
problem.
feeling on the board?
How about if we say all the time that we have 80 people who volunteer at the station who are on the air. I wonder if we do or not. But if we did, and we challenged each of them to do $100 this pledge drive, that'd be 8,000. And then we challenged our listeners to do 8,000, that'd be 16,000. And that might be reasonable and a new way to kind of look at it. So that we're saying, you know, we love our station, we're doing our part, and it maybe would get people, you know, to step up. How many shows do we have? Just if we did $100 per show from the people.
From the air shifters.
Right, and really per, not just everybody who's on the air in a week, you know, whether you're sharing, if you're 2 people on the air, let's see if you can do 200. Do your own fundraisers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I think we would need to say that it doesn't have to be directly from the air shifter, but they have to bring the $100. I think a lot of air shifters don't have $100.
Or
Definitely
call in,
not.
or call in during your show. But yeah, it has to be $100.
No, I don't mean call in during
Yeah,
their show.
more
I
than
mean,
a
like,
year.
go
You
do
need
it,
actual-
go
Right.
get it.
Okay.
Right, like, you know, you ask, yeah, and maybe, I don't know,
Pass the plate.
I know there's
that
a lot of,
idea.
I think it's a good idea, I just know that there are a lot of people who will not, they do not have it, but maybe they have friends or somebody that can help, but does that put into listeners? I don't know.
And then there
Yeah.
must be some that don't have jobs and don't have friends.
It's, I agree also, it is a fantastic idea. I think where it falls down is we have to communicate this to the air shifters. How do you do that?
Right.
They don't read email, you know?
And
We
they
don't-
don't come to
they're-
the
they don't
associates.
come to
Yeah,
something.
they're all just doing their own thing. You guys figure it out.
Well, we put it in the booth, that's what we always
Yeah.
end up doing. That we say this is the way we're doing our pledges at this time. WEFT members are each pledge, we're asking each WEFT member, or WEFT, however we wanna say it, WEFT volunteer, air shifter, to put their money where their mouth is. And we are asking you to put your money where your mouth is.
I think the asking or like, but not a forcing, because,
Well, we can't force, but we can.
and also like, I just don't think that, I mean, I have enough listeners to even be able to produce a Senate, maybe, like, one, I guess donation would be 40, but like, if you're thinking 3, I don't know, I guess maybe I could do 3. Oh, maybe.
So,
there are,
What-
But I guess I just
So-
don't, like, I don't want everyone to feel like if they don't get it, I guess,
So
that
the
they've now
ultimate-
failed, even if they've been trying, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
so
Yeah,
where
no,
are we on
I always
this
make the announcements,
discussion?
whatever, but,
Are we gonna does the board want to do the goal? Do we want to forego it?
well, like
for this
15,000
moment?
is roughly under, you're thinking about 16.
16, and
So-
to split it in that way.
I-
to
So
I-
we
frame
said
it
for
that way.
15,000, so less
Gina
than
has a
20, but
question.
The last time I did a head count, we were at about 65 air shifters, so.
I would throw out, I think the ideal goal is 22.5, but I don't like that it's not a round number. So I feel like 20 is not quite enough and 25 is too much.
Well, and I'll just, for discussion, I'll throw something else out. Do we need a goal?
I think
What
we
do
do.
we put on Tower Man if we don't have a goal?
Yeah, I'm not saying, Progress is a
Nothing, just-
motivator.
That's
the
right.
thing.
I think we need
I just
I
throw it
think-
out there for
I
consideration.
think we need a potentially
Actually, I thought about that
realistic
too.
goal.
I kind of agree with Mark, it's like, who are we fooling?
Or maybe,
Yeah.
maybe we just say we need as much as we can. That way they're not disappointed.
Yeah.
They're just trying to get it. And, you know, we need every dollar. If you make 50,000, we need that. We need every dollar. We'll not turn it away.
Right,
Right, I
we
agree
lost
with
money
that.
last year, we lost money the year before, what do you
I
want?
agree with Andrew. Targets
Motivate.
Targets help motivate. So does somebody want to make an official motion?
I would
Do they?
I would move that
Yeah,
In that
we're
case-
not reaching them.
In that case,
I would move that we set 20,000 as our like emergency minimum or something like that. You know, that if we don't make at least $20,000, we just turn out the lights.
But when do we reveal that? Like 2 days before?
We go until we at least get to 20,000.
We're not
you
gonna
know.
do it. We hit 11,000 people, get real.
That's kind of what I was thinking, 15, so
That's what I thought
your
about
other
15.
estimate, maybe if we're all really pushing, we could maybe, it's like 15 would be closer to 20, but more close to what we've actually
Do we
gotten
think
for a
though
number
if we
of
tell
time.
people we only need 15 and last year was 20, they're like, oh, we don't need any money.
They're not, they know.
No.
I would
Everybody
I
knows
would
we
not
need
use the
money.
words only
Listeners.
need.
No.
Listeners,
And
you know.
there are air shifters who will get really pissed off if you say, okay, we want you to donate $100 and get other people to donate $100, whether they have $100 or not, because there are people who are still pissed off that they raised the price of the shirts for air shifters.
Well, those are things we can talk about at the pledge
Yeah.
drive
But it
meeting.
wasn't a price, it was a premium.
Right, you don't have to have it.
So motion for
Buy it a
15,000.
month later.
Yeah, I guess that would be my
Okay. Do we have a
I don't
second?
How much?
15,000.
Do I have a
It's,
second?
it's okay if someone else has another
Can I
strong
ask
idea.
for 16?
I like 16.
I
I
like
like
16.
16.
I like round
Going,
numbers.
going.
I never thought I'd think a goal was too low, but
Price is right.
Here,
I don't know why you could think that when we can only make 11.
I was the one that kept saying we needed to go lower than 40 before, so.
well, but if we, okay, here's my problem. No matter how low we set it, and then we say, yay, we made our goal, and we're
Right.
still going down the toilet.
Yeah.
How does that play with our?
Yeah.
Right, that's, I think it's to
Public.
do with their emotions.
If the
I
goal
agree.
is going to be less than 20, I don't think we should set a goal.
I kind of
I could
really
get
agree with Mark, like saying that this is how we get our money. We don't get grants anymore. We need this money from you to survive. We need 30,000 from this pledge drive to live. We'll probably fall short, but they know
Yeah.
we need it. It's not for
And
fun. It's
we're
not.
not even public radio, and they're cutting money for public radio and the arts out of Washington. We don't
Mhm.
even get
CTV
that.
may
well,
not
and
exist after another 6 months.
and I can also see or hear air shifters and listeners saying, those idiots only want $20,000.
Right.
They're asking for a deficit budget. They
Right.
don't know. They don't have a clue what they're doing.
Right,
You know,
right. Like, why are we saying, like, oh, we
it's easy
reached
to
our.
come to that conclusion.
Right. We
Reached
reached
our
our
goal,
goal.
now give us more money.
Right,
Yeah.
we reached our goal. Let's start with you know, because. So I think in my opinion, I do think we set it for what we need. I don't think it makes sense to say we've reached our goal, we're still not making it. Like, that's kind of weird, right?
However, if we set it for 50,000 and we make 11,000, then, you know.
But then people know how screwed up and in danger
At
we
least
are.
they know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that-
Well,
that's
then,
actually
then we
a
should
good
set
point.
it for $1 million.
But then
I
you don't
mean,
want to be too
Well, we don't
high,
need
so
a
they're like,
million.
I'm going to jump ship, because if they're clearly not going to make, it's 50 and.
Yeah,
They'll give
yeah.
their
People
money to
don't, people
WIL.
don't want to
Yeah,
give money
exactly.
to a dying organization. People don't want to give money to losers.
All right.
If
So
you
perhaps we
set
should
it-
not set a goal then?
if you set it for slightly
They don't,
more
you
than
know.
you
I know,
expect,
yeah, that's
then
why you
at
have to
least
frame
you
it
can
in a certain
stretch.
way.
Okay, so
So it
Maybe
sounds
that's
like
what we ought to put on
no
our t-shirts.
goal or 2025.
well, we had a motion, a second. You can either rescind your motion in second.
Ours said one for 15. There was the one for 16, and then we had no goal, and then we had something much
I
more than that.
Thought I was motioning for 20, but
Oh, okay.
Okay, so they rescinded Todd motion for 20. Do I have a second?
I'll second Todd.
All right. I feel like we're probably gonna have a split vote. So Todd, be ready to count hands.
okay.
All those in favor of 20, raise your hands and
Versus
say.
What was the versus?
Versus not.
Okay.
Versus no goal at all?
Okay.
Or-
Versus no.
Versus another motion
Okay.
if this one
Right.
doesn't
Yeah.
pass.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor of 20, say aye.
Wait,
Raise
you,
hands.
okay. So I see two hands.
Yeah.
I don't
All
know.
those opposed to 20, raise hands and name.
So 2 to 3 to question marks.
Abstentions.
Yeah.
Well, abstentions count with the majority, so.
Oh, okay.
And all abstentions, raise your hands.
Oh,
Okay, 2 to 3 to 2,
And
which is not everybody, I don't.
I
Right,
can't
so
vote.
No, well.
Oh, you're not voting, right?
I am the only
I
one
would have
in the
voted
top.
for, I
Right.
guess, at this point, no goal, so I didn't know where I was supposed to vote. Is it
Okay, well
actively opposed
then
or
we need
just
another
like I'm
motion.
not?
All right,
That's what I was
Okay.
wondering if.
can I have
So-
one more discussion?
Hmm?
Can we have
Yeah.
one more discussion?
Yeah, well,
So, if the TV station does produce enough money for me to give a $10,000 donation, what would that conversation look like
But
then?
let's not
Actually,
vote for that, just because that's,
I
that's your
just-
personal, that's, you know, that's.
one thing I would propose, rather than just a straight $10,000 donation, which I appreciate, and I'm not trying to talk you out of it. What I would actually appreciate, and what I think might help raise money more, is if we set up some sort of a matching.
Yeah.
Instead, if you donate this amount of money in these time range, we have matching dollar for dollar.
So last time we did do that. We had people do that a lot. Sandra and Kevin, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
They donated the 10, but then they also did a lot of matching outside that. They gave more than 10.
Okay.
Okay, Kevin does a lot of matching.
Yeah, he does.
He really enjoys it. It is a huge headache for me, so please just do the one chunk when you hand me a check.
Well,
But-
no. Actually, the best way to do it is to use it pre-pledge. That's what I did the first
Yeah.
time when I had some time to do it, and I went to people and I said, you know,
Right.
I need to we want to start this pledge drive off with $10,000. I'm going to donate, I'm going to match yours if you will give at least $1,000. And I went to some people who were friends of mine and who support community radio, and I got people to, I took anything larger. I said, try to get 1,000. I'll take anything larger than 100 to do this with. So, you know, I mean, we need to use it strategically for sure, just like you should with any big donor.
I mean, I even tried that on my show
Yeah.
during pledge drive. You know, I would tell, you know, hey, you call up, you pledge 20, I'll pledge 20, and there you are. You're a
Yeah.
member, you know, or whatever. It didn't work.
Right,
You know,
a lot of people
I didn't get any
That one girl that called in. with
$5. $5. I had a little girl call in and pledge $5. She's like, I'm right in my mom.
that is heartwarming, yes.
You know, she's like, I'm on my way to school and I just want to get $5. And I'm like,
Wow.
oh my gosh, you know, just.
Now, real quick, talk to all your classmates.
They all have $5.
Lunch money, we'll take it.
But then I matched it, you know. I'm like, okay, thank you, I'll match your $5. You
Okay.
know? I'm like, you know.
Sheila?
So
Sheila's
we're
got
all-
something.
I just have a comment about the matching thing. You know, when I was back in the Boston area and my NPR station was looking for donations,
Mhm.
I would call when they had a match.
Yeah. To try to get
It's
the
like-
better premium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
no,
think,
I
you think it's gonna get more for the
I would
station?
tell them to keep
I think it
premium.
does.
Yeah, because I would be like, well, my $100 is gonna be $2.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think matches help.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, then maybe, is there
Both
some way
times
we
I've
can,
given, both
use
times
that
I've
writers
given
to help us with that?
WILL have been during a match.
Mhm.
So I think matches help.
Like maybe like match hours. Like
But if you say,
Yeah.
cause we've got an anonymous donor, they're gonna give up to $8,000 during this pledge drive, but only if we get that $8,000. So
Yeah.
I need you to do it, and we can't, and that should maybe be for people outside of the WEFT.
yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna match WEFT money kind of thing, you know, like you give your money, people.
Yeah.
no, but if there was something where she could go to some unwriters, again, saying it was anonymous donor, and it's like set time period, whatever, we're hoping to, that this person will match it only this time.
So with match.
Maybe that could get some revenue from them, they would throw some money due to the, what point about matching.
So with match as a motivator, potentially, and thank you, Sandra, if you're able to do that.
I'm not sure that's
Yeah.
the problem with I certainly don't know whether the TV station's gonna renew or not.
Well, possibly there might be a person in the underrating group that's already in favor of WEP, and they might like the idea of matching, so maybe they'll want to be the matcher, perhaps.
Could I make a motion?
Even if it's several hours, so it's not like
Yes.
the entire time they have to,
Since-
you know.
Since the first
Shove
motion
in cash.
failed, pending plans to go to essentially deadbeat Wefties, I think we don't have if Sandra doesn't know the state of finances and we don't know the state of air shifters being held accountable, I think we should table this.
For when?
Because I
Table
don't
it.
think we have consensus to approve much of anything as far as specific
Table
numbers.
making a goals and
Yeah, but
let
pledge
the
drive is gonna be in
March.
Right,
March,
so-
which
Well, it
is
sounds like
2
we need to
months.
base all the numbers on information we don't have,
Yeah.
so. It's also 8:54, I think,
Yeah, so
in case.
so when do you think would be the best time, like, the executive committee could meet on this sooner than the next board, or do you think, we
That's the
should have
next best thing,
do
because
this
we,
via email, or what would you think?
I would say that if you're gonna meet, it should be the executive committee and the pledge drive committee, or the board and the pledge drive committee.
Well, I think maybe the pledge drive committee could, well, I don't know that the pledge drive committee should be deciding the goal,
No.
but they could meet and I can bring a report back to the executive committee, but that won't really have anything to do with the
right.
goal, so. But I think the board needs to be able to tell the committee, the pledge committee,
Okay.
what you're reaching for.
I don't really want to put it off, but there's a lot more, shall we say, diversity of opinion than I am previously
And
accustomed to.
undecided, because I'm really still not really quite sure what the best decision is.
Right. I don't want to just arbitrarily make a bad
Yeah,
decision
well, that's
because.
Exactly.
yes, that's what I was almost thinking.
But
like,
then
you better
again, I don't
decide.
think there is a good decision.
Oh, but
You
there's a
know,
least
so-
worst probably.
Alright,
I need to put money in the meter.
It dies at
Shouldn't
9
have
o'clock.
to
It
after
stops
9.
at 9.
yeah,
If you're parked down by C
Okay.
Street, it dies at 5.
I'm gonna make a motion, based on the fact that I think that I would be able to come up with at least $5,000, that we make our spring pledge drive goal 22,000. And, anybody second that?
If I'm understanding it, I'll second it.
That I'm
A
gonna,
goal of 22,000?
yeah, and I'm gonna do my best to come up with at least 5,000 of it.
I will second that. That's, yeah.
And then I want really us to work on a good strategy.
Yeah, I remind me of something for that.
All right.
alright. And Todd seconded,
Yes.
Todd, counting hands.
Okay.
All's in favor of 22,000 as a goal, raise your hand, say
I
aye.
see 5. Andy,
I see
Barb.
6.
Whoa, and
You're
Denise.
not counting yourself.
No, I couldn't see Denise. Denise, me,
Her hair.
Denise, Todd, Andrew. You might need to write this down. Denise, Todd, Andrew, Sandra, Barb, and Andy. So that is 6. Do you want to continue the voting?
All those opposed, raise your hands and say nay.
Vicky, Mark, and Jermaine abstaining,
Mhm.
and Robert not here.
Okay.
So 6-1.
What are we gonna do about Robert?
That's on the
There it
agenda.
is.
I'm just gonna
Okay.
put 6 to 2.
Well, I hope we can get through the rest of the agenda soon.
Alright,
We didn't have much to change about the, at the executive committee, the sexual harassment
Right,
policy
we-
and stuff.
that
It's just
should
my,
be-
my minor wording, just make more inclusive, but.
And economical.
I guess that's right.
so next is the rewording of the policy.
I made edits, I typed edits. Jermaine, should we all just submit our edits to you? Because I don't think we should read all our edits.
No,
Very
and
silly.
frankly, the policy, I also included another document called the sexual harassment procedures.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Because I want to tie those into the policy.
You wanted to make it all into one
I
document,
wanna make
right?
it all into one document. And tie the whole thing together and say, here's the board, here's how the board will handle these matters.
There is just one thing I really want to say, not my edits, but in the policy it did say when the board deems it credible allegation
Ew.
of sexual assault, you can't say that.
Yeah,
Anything that somebody perceives as sexual harassment has to be taken seriously as the board.
Yes.
Even if you don't think it is, you have to perceive it as if you do.
Yeah, you would want to
Yeah.
avoid the words credible and legitimate.
Where is that one?
It's, page 27.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also noticed that the edit I had proposed before was also not changed on here above that, but.
Yeah, so I can email everybody my edits.
Yeah, I didn't do any edits to this document because it's
Right.
still a major working, so
Right.
I almost didn't touch this document.
So,
So it's still a work in progress.
Did the executive committee work on this at all?
We discussed it,
We discussed
but
it.
we mostly discussed not wanting to screw around with it, so.
But I think it's probably better developed with the executive committee before you bring it to the full
Mhm.
board, because as you
Right.
know, we will kick it around
Right.
for 3
And this
hours
is-
and not make a decision.
And this is not, yeah, well, don't worry, we will definitely, in this next month, have a final drafted and submitted to the executive committee and hashed out and then proposed.
So should
So
we
that's-
just do edits for
yeah.
now? Okay.
So that's the pathway proposed. This is just kind of to you guys, just to show you
We've been working on it.
that it's been working on.
Just a suggestion to consider in the sample sexual harassment procedure, you have a whole bunch of commitments in here which you're leaving yourself open. There's one for 45 days, 7 days, 10 days, 21 days, 10 days, 5 days. Wow. Good luck if you wanna pass that. And also, make it so you can do it. For example, in here it says, you know, the chair of the HRC will turn over things at the end of their term to the incoming chair. What if the chair was someone like Robert Gattermeyer? What are you gonna do then?
Okay.
So make it so you can live with it.
My only question on it was, well, I had a couple of questions, but the major one is that there's something in here about the conflict resolution team going through professional training. And if we go through professional training, who's gonna pay for that?
That's in the current conflict resolution process and procedure.
Which was developed under MIC, right?
Right, which I
When there
wanna,
was
Which we're
training.
talking
which I wanna get out of.
That's next
Which
on the
I wanna-
agenda,
which I
right?
wanna get rid of.
So that's why this really needs to be worked done
Well,
by the
Mick
executive.
was there, but he didn't develop that.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's next on the agenda,
Yeah,
right?
I'm proposing we scrap that, partly because it conflicts with Article 11
Yep,
of the, mainly because it conflicts with
Well,
Article
we-
11. It also conflicts with the laid out HRC rules in the bylaws.
So then we're gonna send you our edits and then executive committee's gonna work on it
Yep.
and have a final document
That's
to
it.
present.
But
That
we're
sounds like
but we're
a
gonna repeal this tonight if we can, is that correct?
We're gonna repeal the the idea is to repeal the conflict resolution
Right.
stuff tonight.
Okay.
Are we gonna repeal and replace?
Oh,
Use the term? Or just repeal?
I'm thinking if it's already in conflict with something else, it doesn't need a replacement because the something else will suffice.
Well, technically, there does need to be something more in Article 11 about conflict resolution. But
Okay.
the conflict resolution as is conflicts with Article 11,
Right.
and so there does need to be some repeal and replace
Article 11 of the
of
bylaws.
the bylaws, which is the adverse action. Part of the problem is I see it conflicts, and also a question becomes, when does a conflict become an adverse action?
Right.
And what happens with that whole interaction? So
good point.
So what can we do tonight?
we can, the resolution on hand that I put in the packet is to
Repeal the conflict.
repeal the conflict resolution procedures.
Well,
and-
I would move that we do that as long as we don't as long as we keep the language on file so that there is a record of what it was.
Yeah, I know there's a paper version that's in the archives, and I have a digital version of left archives. So
Yeah.
I can change the
It's-
wording after it to now like repealed or I don't know whatever I
Mhm.
say, but former policy.
I don't want to whitewash it from history as never having existed.
It's not gonna be whitewashed.
I'll make a motion. Did you
I
already
motion,
Okay, I'll
but-
second it.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion. One question I have, Vicky,
Yeah,
Bill Gorell,
yes.
he was apparently talking to Bob and has been basically spewing everywhere.
We're still in
being-
open
Yes.
session?
Yes,
Yeah, I was
Okay.
wondering.
we're in open session
Um,
when we're broadcasting.
Yeah.
Hello.
And so the question I have is that communication, are we aware that there was punishment under this? That communication?
There was what under it?
Punishment.
Because there was a reference that there was punishment under this.
It wasn't under this.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Mm-mm. No,
Okay.
it was, and that was a misunderstanding. It was a behavior,
Okay.
and it was He was offered a chance to appeal the decision to the board, and he decided not to appeal it.
Okay. Alright,
So
now,
that's kinda,
That's it.
now I have the background.
Mhm.
Okay, so we
you've
have,
got a copy of the letter in that file, the big Google Drive
okay,
thing that I put up for you.
okay.
A
Now
little
we,
light reading.
yeah, well, it's grant time, so there's a lot of light reading on my plate. So we have a motion and a second to
Appeal it.
repeal,
This has to be 2/3, right?
no,
No?
no, cause this was never enshrined in any SOPs or.
Simple majority then?
Yeah, 'cause it was just simple board policy.
Yeah,
Am I correct, Mike?
Yeah,
You'd
no,
be
that
a bylaw
wasn't in
guru.
the SOP.
Yeah, this was never put in any documents.
But-
Okay.
Yeah.
So, simple majority,
Does it need to be roll call?
I would
Okay.
prefer it to, on the resolution, I have it as a roll call.
And we're simply repealing this, but not replacing it with anything.
We are not replacing it tonight.
Does it need to be replaced tonight, I think is the big
Well, what do
question.
we do if
Well-
something comes up?
Well, we won't do this.
I think it's.
That's
combine
the
other
thing,
documents,
we're not
I
gonna
guess.
follow this conflict resolution policy as it
Yeah,
is.
anyway.
We're gonna
So-
follow the bylaws.
Yeah, so
We're
we're just
gonna-
gonna pull it out and,
And we are
Follow the
going to
bylaws.
follow as closely to Article 11 as we can,
mhm.
and use that process.
So I have the roster here. Do you want to make it roll call?
Yep.
And we did spend $3,000 on this process, just,
And it's also never worked.
Okay, that's
it's
why,
never been used.
Oh, we did
Except
say,
for-
we
It
did
was used
say,
in the one in the
Yeah.
one
but we
time.
did say during the
Right,
executive
yes, it
committee
was.
that because there was so much time and money and effort put into it,
Yeah.
that we were gonna use it and refer to it and build from it,
Right.
and use it as like a research tool.
Yeah.
So it's not down the.
Yeah.
That's
well,
why I
I
said
mean,
keep it
that's-
on record, but
Right.
not.
That money's
Active.
gone, so if it's
Right.
valuable at all, fine, if it's
Right.
not, throw it all away.
Alright.
Right.
So, we have a motion and a second,
vote.
and roll call vote?
Okay. If I'm going in order and you are going last, I guess I'm first. So,
Go in whatever order
Okay.
you want.
Todd Hunter, I will vote yes on repeal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yes is to repeal
is
and
to
no is
repeal,
to retain.
Yeah.
Okay, Sandra.
Yes.
Okay, Andrew,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Denise.
Yes.
Robert is not here. Mark,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
and Jermaine. Do you not vote?
Yes,
You do vote.
yes.
Okay. Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe 9 to 0 to 0.
Okay.
So it passes truly unanimously.
Awesome. Okay. Alright,
Alright, almost done.
second resolution on the table. Alright,
Board training, board priorities, goals, training.
second resolution on the table
Mm-hmm.
is the alcohol waiver for
What
the
page?
Here.
So we're going.
38.
We're going from A to C.
Oh.
Yeah, you skipped.
Right.
board
We're skipping B.
priorities, goals.
Oh, I did skip board priorities. Can we table that because of the hour?
I would
Yes.
support that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So Jermaine moved and I seconded. I guess is that right?
you technically don't need a motion.
Okay.
Alright, so, resolution on the alcohol policy. Laney asked for a waiver to allow alcohol for a West party on February 23rd.
And what's the event?
I sent it out in WWE. It's just a celebration pizza party, loving West party, just to get some morale going before we get into spring pledge drive.
Is there a time frame on this?
I said start at 7. So last one went I think an hour and a half ish. I don't know. I'm not saying there were going to be alcohol, but I know last time I mentioned it, people said, oh, "I'll come if we can have alcohol." So I'm just saying, people think that's fun, and I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do.
Now, as you see, I put, and we can talk about the language in the resolution.
This resolution.
Yeah, we can talk about the language in the resolution about, because the staff did request it, that a staff member must be on premises for the alcohol waiver. It did specifically say that it cannot You know, you cannot be drinking or be drunk on air. You cannot be drinking on the street. You must follow all federal, state, and local laws. So.
Who's paying for the beer?
Well, usually they wanna bring it themselves.
Okay.
So, I said that we could do, either bring a dish, pitch in for the pizza, if you wanna drink something, if it's allowed, then bring it, but I'm not gonna drink it and I'm not gonna provide it, the station's not providing it.
So.
Wait, Todd, you
Todd has a question.
Obviously, I'm mindful of the time, so I don't want to get stuck on this. I would like to discuss the policy more maybe next month if we can put that on old business or however we need to do
Well,
it.
but the party's on the 23rd.
I'm saying the broader policy, I would like to discuss it.
Oh, okay. I
But
see.
because this is a time sensitive thing, I would like to go ahead and deal with this before we have a broader discussion of it. And the one concern I have about this is just that I would like us to, if it's not already established under the policy, I would like there to be some consistency in when we do grant these waivers so that it doesn't look like we grant them for things the board is going to be at and not for anything else. Does that make sense?
It does.
It does. This seems like a good example of something that if we're gonna have a standard policy of no alcohol, this is not an individual show showing during a party or for a band. So I think it shouldn't be no jealousy kind of between shows or like, how come they got it?
Well-
Because
Right.
this is for all the station. We're not providing liquor either. It's just like, okay, if you'd like to, we're trying to celebrate for a few hours, not even
Right.
the whole
Right.
evening. If you want to have a beer or two, we'll be fine this time because it was all get
Right.
together just as wefties. So it's
Yeah.
not really privileging one
So,
group.
so in the interest of time, I would say that I would support this on the condition or with the understanding that we will be discussing it in greater detail next month, but because it's time sensitive and this sounds like a reasonable request, we can talk about consistency and process or procedure next time. Does that?
Gina has a question or thought.
My question is just, does this open the station up to any liability should someone be drinking at the station and drive off and hit someone?
It actually has on there, it says therefore such activities such as drinking in the public right of way, and it says or consuming alcohol or being drunk on air. So it seems like basically once you leave the station, if you've been drinking or don't forget, you're responsible for yourself.
So if the station is sponsoring a party where alcohol is being served.
No,
Is allowed.
no. Well, this is not being served. It is if you brought it with you.
Right.
Okay, well, it's
being
different.
consumed
Yeah.
at the station.
Right, I think our liability is
Does it open the
different.
station up to any liability?
That's
Is my
that's a
question.
legitimate question.
I don't.
I don't know.
I don't.
I'm just asking the question
I see what you
because,
mean.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't want WEFT to be liable if something should happen.
Maybe that's a good question
That's a
to ask
legitimate
the
question.
insurance company before we can vote on it, but it should hinge probably on what their response is. What's our liability?
Yeah.
So conditional vote.
Conditional.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, then I
Well,
would
the
like
insurance
to.
company, that's easy, the insurance company is gonna say, yes, you would be liable, because we may or may not be, but why would they risk it, you know? They're gonna
It
say,
seems the
"Of
thing
course
you would
not."
ask a lawyer, not the insurance company.
Yeah.
Go just put up a sign. If you're drinking tonight, don't drive. Just put a sign. They've all seen it.
Right.
They've all walked in. Don't drink and drive. It's on you.
Or
Because
cover
like
it.
you leave a bar.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're
or a private
responsible
party
for
at
how
the
drunk you are and
house.
not driving.
Isn't there some way
I
we
think
could
if you
pass
don't
this?
provide it, if you don't provide it, you are not
That's what I'm
liable.
saying.
Isn't
It's
there
not
some-
served
I'm
to
almost
them if
positive
they're
of that.
consuming-
Like,
Isn't there some way
like
we
if
could
you-
pass this where we're not actually advertising
I'm
that
pretty
we're
sure
serving
that's true.
alcohol, but that
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's true. I don't think we have to worry about that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an issue. I'm not a lawyer, but
I mean, it's not like we're gonna have a
I'm
sign,
not-
free beer, minors come inside, you know?
Yes.
Really, that's how I was doing it.
You want it to be a real party, that's what we ought to do.
I don't want it to be a real party, and let the broadcast show that I don't want it to be that kind of party.
So, I am actually good with the idea of the conditional vote because I agree kind of with Sandra's point, but I also think that Gina's.
But am I asking insurance or a lawyer?
I'd say a lawyer,
Because
honestly.
we don't have a lawyer or money to pay one.
Well, I was gonna say, if we have to pay $180 just for the lawyer to think about it,
how about
then
Googling it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that idea.
Okay, I'll ask lawyer Google.
And
There is
I
a Google
will
lawsuit.
make a motion
what
to that
Well, we
effect.
just need to amend.
isn't there some way we could just announce that the policy will be waived or suspended for the duration of this party, and
Yeah,
then we're
that's
not
what I
actually
guess.
advertising that we're serving anything because we're not.
Right. Yeah, I could just say alcohol, not waiver granted, alcohol ban lifted from on
Yeah.
23rd from this hour to this hour.
We could maybe even say that we're going to, I don't know, have a revisitation or a study session next month since we said we're going to talk about it.
Why?
No.
Oh, let's not go there.
Okay.
We don't have time to go there tonight.
Okay,
Is there a
so,
motion on the table?
I will motion to say yes to this, barring if
Lifting
there's
of the
something that
ban.
turns up that tells us we should not
Right.
definitely allow for legal reasons.
I will second, if I understood
Yes.
Andy's motion, I will second it.
okay. Oh, Todd, roll call.
Oh, okay.
Phone call in there,
Do we need
it's
a
gonna
roll
cost
call?
us a fortune.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
call.
We can't
Uh,
afford that.
I vote
Add
yes.
this one.
Sandra,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Andy.
Yep.
Denise.
Yes.
Robert's not here. Mark,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
and Barb.
Yes.
9-0.
Right, good.
Can I say something also for the record for anybody who might be listening? I think when you asked about Bill Burrell, you said that somebody reported on him, and I think you gave the wrong name of the person that reported. I don't want to say who did, but who reported that Bill's been bashing us on social media, etc. You said the wrong name, and I just want to clear up
Yeah.
that it wasn't that person,
No.
in case anybody's listening.
Is it Facebook? I mean, I'm just wondering what.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's been putting things on Facebook.
Yeah.
See,
As
I
I understand it, I
don't do
haven't seen
Facebook,
it.
so
Oh,
that's
you
why
said
I'm
more
just-
comments.
I will second that.
Oh,
I will second Mark's motion.
Okay, well, there we go.
I'll go for that, yes.
Alright,
Enough,
all
I
those in
don't do
favor?
Facebook.
Aye.
That was painless.
Actually, he took
Oh,
it.
okay.
Well, I should be getting out of here then,
Yep.
because I have a show to do.
Yes, you do.
9:15 adjourned.
Excellent.
Hey, Todd,
Yes.
what was the, both these were 900, the resolution?
Yes.
Okay.
9-0.